Why was my performance so much better at home? Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services, which I co-own with my impossibly funny wife, Brooke. Ding! I love her. And now on to our topic. Why was my performance so much better at home? Owning a taping service for over 10 years has brought Brooke and I a lot of wisdom. On the one hand, we get to stand in the shoes of casting, watching thousands of auditions a year, oftentimes actors coming in for the same role, watching who gets cast, etc. On the other hand, unlike with casting directors, actors will talk candidly to us about their process and how they felt about this take versus that take, etc. In short, we've learned a ton about this little thing we call auditioning. And the point I want to talk about today is where the actor, after a few takes and possibly even watching them back, turns to us and says, it was so much better at home. Or it was so much better in the mirror, or it was so much better in the car or in the waiting room, etc. Now, we've heard this complaint for years, and we even used to suffer from it ourselves. But what's really happening here, and how did Brooke and I move past that? There are a few things at play here. First of all, and we've touched on this in previous videos, actors have this obsession with perfection. Spoiler alert, it does not exist. But as it relates to this topic, the thing you have to be careful of is discovering something in your rehearsal and then trying to recreate that in the performance. That's just an imitation of yourself. And that's not what acting is. So stop trying to approximate a take you did in your rehearsal. To help with this idea, I want to use the analogy of tubing down a river. If you drop in and have the most amazing experience tubing and you want to recreate it, you can get out, walk back up to the drop-in point, plop back in, and try to recreate that experience, but it won't work. Sure, you're the same, you dropped in at the same point, but your tube might have less air and the water is different. In fact, if you try to recreate the experience, you'll be fighting the current that wants to take you in new places. And if you've ever seen someone in a tube on a river trying to fight the current and try to get to a different place in the river, it's pretty hilarious. And that's what you're doing when you try to recreate your rehearsal in the audition room, or on set for that matter. You're hoping that that river will take you down the exact same path, but it's never, ever gonna happen. Because when you go from rehearsal to taping, or from rehearsal to on set, the time of day is different. The location is probably different. You're hungrier than you were. You're more tired than you were. You got a text from a friend that has caused you to go into an anxiety spiral. You had traffic between your rehearsal and the audition taping, and that got you more frustrated. Everything is different. And of course, now you have a reader that probably wasn't there for your rehearsal. And they cannot be expected to recreate the version of the scene that existed in your head, nor should they. Acting is an organic art. It's about listening and reacting, and like the river, it's unpredictable. So you need to embrace that unpredictability. You need to change your mindset from one of rigidity to one of curiosity and play. You should approach that audition or that performance with the thought of, I wonder what I'll discover in the moment, instead of, I hope I can recreate that magic I found in rehearsal. Something that will help you immensely with this problem is improv. Take an improv class. And I don't just mean one class. I don't even mean 1 month. I mean 6 months, 2 years, or more. Improv is what has helped Brooke and I immensely with this issue. It will foster this idea of curiosity and play in you. Not only will you welcome discovery in the moment, you will crave it. And you'll start looking forward to having that reader breathe life into the scene in a way you weren't even thinking about in your rehearsal. It forces you to be in the moment instead of in your head. And there's one more aspect of this problem that I want to cover in this video, which is depleting your creative tank too much during rehearsal. What I mean by that is if you do all of your prep and script analysis, like you should, but then perhaps in an effort to memorize your lines, you work the scene over and over and over again, you'll convince yourself that you've discovered everything. Creatively, you'll feel like there's nowhere else to go. You'll convince yourself that this is a good thing because you've settled on your performance. But what it really means is that you've turned off the invitation to be challenged in the moment by new information. And so when those new stimuli come up in the moment, you'll reject them. And that will cause that frustration inside of you that will ultimately lead you to say, it was so much better at home. So in short, take an improv class. But in addition to that, perhaps you need to do less rehearsal. Because if you're confusing memorization of lines with rehearsal, then what you end up doing is locking your performance into place because you're rehearsing the lines over and over in an effort to get them inside your head. And what you don't realize is you're attaching a delivery to those lines as well. And that makes it also very, very hard to adjust in the moment to new information. As always, there's a lot more to this topic, so if you'd like to continue the discussion, please leave a comment below or send us an email. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set.